To take this further, I'm now being joined on the news at 10 by the UNDP Economic Advisor for Nigeria and ECOWAS, Ojijo Diambo. Thank you for joining us on the news at 10. Now, the latest report puts Nigeria at 152. We've been here for the past 2 years in spite of reforms. Is there any particular reason why this is so?
Thank you very much. I think we should recall that the idea of the Human Development Report is not to rank geographic regions against each other, but really to see how particular regions are making progress. So in this regard, we must take into consideration the fact that Nigeria has made progress. You talked about a 13% increase in the Human Development Index between 2005 and 2015. That's very commendable. But what is more important is at least that we could have done better, at least because the Human Development Index, which is the basis of the ranking, is a composite index that looks at not just the well-being of economies, but the well-being of individuals within a particular geographic area, Nigeria in this case. And that the well-being of that individuals looks at the average income of the people in that area, but also their ability to live long and healthy lives, and their access to education. Now, what's dragging Nigeria behind is not income per se, but the ability to live long and healthy lives and the ability and access to education. These are the two critical indicators that are actually dragging the country behind. So we could have done better, yes, if we made the right investments in health, in education, in access to other basic services. Okay, the other thing that's very critical is the fact that it's not just sufficient to talk about Human Development Index at an aggregate level, but also seeing the inequalities that exist within the society with regards to those particular indicators in terms of access to health, in terms of access to education, and in terms of income. Okay, and Nigeria is doing pretty not so well in terms of inequalities.
Okay, so you mentioned inequalities. I'd just like to look at our humanitarian efforts, especially in the northeast part of the country. Do you think that our priorities are right? Are we doing well? Are we on the right track in the northeast?
The northeast, of course, we all realize that we do have a humanitarian crisis in the northeast. But the efforts that are being carried out by humanitarian agencies under the leadership of the government are very commendable. And for example, if you take, for example, school feeding programs, this is a very, very important intervention, because in some of those areas, the school feeding is the only source of adequate nutrition for children. It's also a way of attracting children to school so that they can also access education. So everything that's being done in terms of rehabilitation, in terms of stabilization, is commendable. But of course, challenges remain. What we always say that these challenges are not insurmountable. With effort, we can do much more and stabilize that area. That's a very critical area so that people can go back to live their lives in a normal way that they used to do. They need security, they need protection, but they also need livelihoods. The systems of livelihoods can be restored. That's basically agrarian community. Yes. And we need to stabilize so that people can go back to live their lives the way they used to do and participate in the development process. Because what is really critical is that people should be engaged in the processes that affect their lives.
Okay, thank you so much. We'll have to leave you there. Thank you again for joining us on the news at 10.